So it's not quite lunchtime, but we are hungry. We didn't really have breakfast this morning. We just shared a grapefruit on the road. So Paula is making us some peanut butter and jam sandwiches, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Those are relatively easy to eat on the road, and they are delicious. You may have noticed, by the way, in some of our videos that we have this tea towel hanging on our kitchen window. Unfortunately, we don't have any blinds or curtains for there, and because it's so close to the flame, we didn't want to make curtains like Paula did for all the rest of our windows. So whenever we need some privacy, we just tape up this little tea towel, and that seems to work. And then we can just pull it off anytime we don't want it. Yeah, awesome. That's a tiny little bridge. Whoa, look what it's going over though. We're walking down a little dirt road that goes through a forest that has gone through a forest fire. And it's just creepy in here. See all the remnants of the sort of charcoal all the way up the tree. Yeah, wow. Crazy.
Like
yep,
totally.
That's burnt all right.
Yeah.
Forest fires seem to happen like all the time up here, usually just because of lightning apparently, and it's also really good for the forests because it sort of forces them to regrow. It puts a lot of the nutrients back into the soil that they need in order to become larger and more healthy. We just found this like a portable garage or something that was here, but it is not standing anymore. Oh yeah, right. Wow, it is busted.
And burnt, look.
Oh yeah, it is burnt, you're right. Maybe it was here. Oh no, it wouldn't have been here during the fire because that tarp would have melted. But that wood definitely was here. Wow. I don't know what they are, but they're pretty. It's kind of weird seeing these pretty little flowers in amongst all of this. But like I said, forest fires are apparently good for the plants. Gives them the nutrients for these little guys to grow.
So tell them what you just read.
There was a sign that, if I got the translation right, means that this is the former site of a town that used to be the Ville de Gagnon. This used to be a town.
It used to be a town.
There used to be buildings and everything here. Like, it's so weird. Like the sidewalk, you can see where there used to be like driveways going in. We're gonna have to look this up and find out what the history is on this.
Yeah, and why it's no longer here.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like looking in here on the left. It's all kinds of stuff in there.
Oh, that looks... They're drains or something, right?
Yeah. I'm gonna pull in there and see if that sign says anything that I can understand. No, that doesn't say anything important. I have no idea. We will look up the history on this and maybe try and add that piece in.
Yeah.
Because this is pretty neat.
Yeah.
So you can see here, see straight ahead of us there, like there's actually the sewer grate. It's like, this is so bizarre. It's like a ghost town minus the town. All right, we'll figure it out and we'll let you know. Okay, so we looked into the Site de l'Ancienne Ville de Gagnon a little bit more, and as it turns out, my translation was correct. It is the site of the former city of Gagnon, Quebec. And here's what we've discovered. During the winter of 1957, the Quebec Cartier Mining Company founded the city for the purposes of mining iron ore on Jasmine Lake. The city was named after Onesime Gagnon, Quebec's first minister of mining, and I apologize, I probably pronounced his name incorrectly. In the summer of 1960, a large forest fire came within less than half a kilometer of the city, and all of the women and children had to be evacuated. Chances are it's not the same forest fire that we saw the remains of. However, that just goes to show how often that sort of thing obviously happens in that area. The evacuation didn't last long though, because soon after, Gagnon reached its peak population of over 4,000 people. During that time, it had an airport, churches, schools, a town hall, an arena, a hospital, and even a large commercial center, despite being incredibly isolated and only accessible by plane. In 1974, a second mine opened at the nearby Fire Lake, which was good news because only 3 years later the original mine closed, only 30 years after it first opened. Unfortunately, the Fire Lake mine was relatively short-lived as well, as it no longer turned a profit following the 1982 iron crisis, a topic which I had never even heard of prior to researching for this video, but if you're into international politics and the mineral industry, it's definitely worth looking into. By 1985, the Fire Lake mine was also closed and the entire city was dismantled. All buildings and nearly all of the streets were demolished. Today, the only thing that remains is the main street and the airport runway. The main street was 2 years later, in 1987, converted into part of what is now known as Route 389, the highway that we drove up earlier in this video. While researching this topic, we came in contact with David Dietlein, who lived in Gagnon as a child in the early 1960s. Chances are, David, I apologize, I probably pronounced your last name incorrectly as well. He has a website devoted to the history of Gagnon and gave us permission to include some of his family photos in this video, all of which were taken by his parents between 1962 and 1963. We've included a link to his website as well as his compilation of home movies in the description below this video. Thanks again, David. We really appreciate it. One last thing. Since I'm having so much trouble with pronunciation, I figured I should give a shout out to the user Waterworld, who rightly corrected me in the comment section of our previous video. When I pronounced it Manicouagan, it should have actually been pronounced Manicouagan. Thanks very much, Waterworld. Though I try very hard, with all the Cree words and French words, I need all the help I can get. To everyone else, thank you again for following along. We super appreciate it, and we will see you again soon.